Hello, sunshine. It's Osiris, like the Egyptian god, and you're watching The Osiris Show. I hope you guys enjoy it, and thank you so much for coming to my channel, supporting. If you haven't done so, you don't have to, but I really hope that you do. So please like, subscribe, share everything that goes to making this a big success. So without, I think I need to introduce myself, obviously. So the first episode is called God Made Me Do It. And I'm gonna like talk you through it and really, really like dissect what I mean by that. So let me just introduce myself. So I am Osiris. That's actually my name. My name's Osiris, like the Egyptian god. And for those who do know me, you know that I always introduce myself like that. I always say, "Hi, I'm Osiris, like the Egyptian god." And I literally do that because there are some ugly shoes out there called Osiris, and they're kind of ugly. There's a pair that I like, but they don't make them anymore. They're sold out, and I've never owned a pair. The ones that I've seen when I was growing up in high school, they look like a DC knockoff, or they also look like a like a Jordan, but like with really, really tacky colors. And that was never my vibe. It just looked like something Justin Bieber used to wear when he had the little baby O era. And that like growing up in Southern California, you grew up wearing Vans, and I always say I'm Osiris, like the Egyptian god, because of that. So another thing that you guys should know about me is that I love art, anything artistic. And what I mean by that are a couple niches. So I love cinema, love movies, always talk about movies. If you know me, I like to go to the movie theater anytime I can. I'm a stub member, so I take advantage of those like free movies, and I love talking about movies. I like dissecting them. I like analyzing them, seeing what lessons I learned and apply it, or see if it's beautiful. I enjoy the cinematic score, the whole like editing process, like how the world building, like the also the costuming, which also the costuming leads into another one of the things that I love, which is fashion. I love clothing. I love dressing up. I believe that dressing up is another extension of who you are. And what better way to do it than through clothing? It's another way of self expression and letting your artistic point of view come out through the clothing that you wear. So that's another reason why I love fashion and I love clothing. I love dressing up. I have, hopes and dreams of one day, simultaneously doing both things, film and fashion. And me, I totally have this on my vision board of me, like, walking down the red carpet or doing something where I'm just like flossing and showing off whatever cool outfit I'm wearing that I, collaborated or helped styled, or, whatever the case might be. Like I just like, those are dreams that people have, and I have one of those. I'm one of those people. I'm trying to talk slower because I tend to talk really fast. So another thing that you should know about me is that besides me loving art, loving cinema, movies, I also love music. I love classical music. I love going to the opera, like ballet. I also love, anything that's like bringing to the culture, from food, learning about any things. I pride myself in always being a student. And, you know, my life on earth has always been about learning and just expanding my brain, expanding my horizons. And there are limitations, but you could always go to a library, read a book. You could do so many things. Like, knowledge is power, and I really, really believe that. So pick up a book, read, do whatever you have to do. I love to play with my imagination and reading and just learning about new things, and that just like broadens my imagination process a lot. I have big inspirations or aspirations, more likely, to you know be a really big successful book author and have those books turn into screenwrites and then turn into a film. Like, that is like something I always been passionate about and wanted to do, and I kind of gave up on that dream, which is why I started my whole show, because I want to start writing and drawing and being more artistic. And right now I'm in this weird artistic creative writing block, or like a blockage of my creativity not flowing through. So I am here stepping back into this little child of what used to be me, to be able to tap into that creativity that I used to possess when I was much younger. So another thing you should know about me is that you probably noticed already, but I am extremely talkative. I talk a lot, and I want to learn more languages. I only know Spanish and English, but I want to learn more so I could like talk in more languages. I always gotten in trouble in school for talking, and that has never, like, I don't know, that's never changed. I've always gonna talk. I always have something to say, and that always leads to who I am. I believe that I have a uniqueness about me, and that also is a unique perspective. And I have unique ideas and opinions, and I always have something to say. I always have something to talk about. And whenever I am quiet, that's kind of like when the wheels are turning in my head, or I'm just like extremely livid, which tends not to happen, or I'm also just when it's really quiet, it's because I'm also just probably really tired, and I am very, very comfortable with you that I'm able to just let the silence be. So, you could say that I am really confident and I'm really optimistic. These are qualities that I pride myself of having, in addition to me also being extremely authentic. I believe that you should be who you are. You should not pretend to be nobody else. And I always pride myself in being different and being unique and having that authenticity that I always hope and pray that everyone else has, and everyone is able to just tap into, and is able to just, I don't know, like, don't be afraid of being who you are. I am who I am, and I know that there is nobody out there like me. And I'm happy for that. I am so happy for that. You cannot replicate this whole essence of who I am, like, ever. And I love that about me. I love that, and I'm never gonna change. And there's moments in life when you're like, oh my God, life is so hard, and you just deprive yourself of these beautiful human qualities that I just want to just be inspiration for everyone out there to, who gives a damn, just be who you are. And that is like the path of least resistance. Always show up as you. Always show up as who you're meant to be, who you're supposed to be, and you have to be honest. Do not put up this facade. Do not lie. Everything. Why would you lie? Because then you have to, create more lies to cover up the other lie, and it just catapults into this like weird thing that you just like shouldn't never be. So yes, be who you are. Know thyself. Be thyself. These are like words I live by. So the reason why this is called God Made Me Do It, it's like I am just gonna be a little intimate with you, and I hope that whatever I shared right now gives you a little glimpse, a little introduction of who I am. And also, some people who probably see this, they already know who I am, and or they thought they knew who I was, and realized that, wow, Osiris has really changed, or what happened to him. And I hope a series of things happened, and all for the better. you could just say that, I went through metamorphosis and now this is me finally coming out of this cocoon. This is a big metaphor analogy, what say you? And hopefully I'm able to, spread my wings and soar through the skies like I used to before. So did I go in hermit mode? 100% yes. Did I go into this dark place? Absolutely. And I want to say I came out of it 100% better. So I hope that you know that I am just a young boy trying to just do my best at life. I'm going to give you all the knowledge that I have learned throughout the way, things that I have learned that guided me to the state of mind of happiness that I tapped into. I want to inspire those. And also, I want to just talk. I have I have friends, but I don't have amazing best friends that I used to have anymore. I don't have them, I think through my isolation, they went away. Also, I suck at communication and the phone does go both ways. And sometimes I text and I don't get a reply and that's fine. Life moves on, but I, feel like I want to talk. I have a lot to say, and I think that there's no better way to do it than through here. And I just want to lend out my hand and be a friend to everybody out there. I might not be accessible, but I definitely try to be. I feel like once I grow and, I think once I gather enough, supporters, audience, friends, what say you, I will love to go on a live and just, talk to you guys one-on-one or whatever the case might be. But that takes more time. And right now, I'm trying to find the time to make these videos. So oh my God, I'm about to be vulnerable and just share with you guys some intimate things that I've been just battling with, oh my gosh, should I say it? Should I not? Because also when I talk to people, they're like, you shouldn't be talking about these things, or these are just things you don't share. But I don't know why people don't do this or why they say they're not. So I'm not going to share with you some details, but I would share enough. Also, the details I'm not gonna share with you are, and then once I start talking, I'm gonna tell you I'm not gonna share this because of things of superstition, things like that. So the episode is true. It's called "God Made Me Do It" because literally God told me to make a podcast or make a channel, and and here I am. So, hopefully the things that, my little introduction to myself was, knowledge or, gave you enough depth, or not, actually it's not even enough depth, but give you a glimpse of, who I am a little bit. I'm just a funny young guy who's always happy, charismatic, and optimistic. And I love art, I love fashion, I love clothing, I love art, I love drawing, I love anything that just makes me use the right side of my brain, writing, creative writing, storytelling, watching a movie, being involved in the process. I've even tried acting here and there and took improv here and there just because I wanted to do it all or have a little knowledge or a little bit of everything, so just know that this is who I am. And there's more to me. And as these episodes roll out, you'll find out more about me. But right now, I'm going to share with you a couple of dreams that I've had. So, hence the episode, God Made Me Do It. So, I want to start off by, talking about a low point in my life. For those who know me, where I work. Some of you guys met me through fashion, through clothing. you know that I work in retail, or I, you know, customer service space. I work for a nice store, like a clothing store, and here in the South Bay, and it was fine. I It's still fine, and I'm happy to have a job. I'm happy to be employed and come back to something that I like, which is like sometimes talking to others, inspiring others to tap into their confident self and just dress themselves, or like, you know, whatever I could do. But also, like, I learned that I'm good in sales. Also, like, I knew I was good in sales. Before working where I worked at other clothing stores. So, you know, they're all nice, fancy stores. And then I worked at I mean, they're not super fancy. It's not like, I don't work in a luxury store right now, but it's kind of like high end or mid end, whatever. But I also worked in furniture before, and, you know, I, you know, helped around at, you know, my friend in her art gallery. So, like, I have this like mentality of always be closing, always be selling, or whatever the case might be. But I find out that I am a seller and I know how to sell. And I guess like the one thing I didn't do is sell myself, not in a nasty way, but I just like forgot about myself and forgot about my creativity. So cut to me realizing that I just was like, oh my god, what am I doing? Like, what am, you know, like, what's happening, right? So I'm still working where I'm working, and it's fine. However, the store where I worked at closed, and I had to relocate to, you know, LA, like West Hollywood, Beverly Hills area, Century City area. Like, I had to relocate. It's fine. However, I started to, you know, work with a different team that I didn't really quite enjoy. I also had to work with a different type of caliber of individuals who have more money, and yet they're lacking at the soul. I don't know, for lack of better words. I just hate to be negative or say something a little derogatory. But these people, they have an abundance of money, a plethora of money. They could buy anything they want. However, they treat everyone so horrible. Sometimes they're mean, and I you know, like, I've never encountered in a group of people that just didn't have any manners, and I just started to feel really, really low. I started to feel like, oh my god, this is eating at my soul. I was also battling my own inner demons. I was at the same time simultaneously going through a depressive state in my life, where I just didn't see the end, didn't see the bigger picture, didn't see the purpose. I was at my wit's end. You know, I don't know. So I had gone sober. I no longer drank alcohol since it's a year and a half. However, I started last year, where this moment in my life started to happen. So last year, I was maybe during holiday season of last year in my new location, being miserable and just trying to, like, you know, pretend to be happy. Like, the customers don't care, they don't know, they don't care about your life, which they don't. So I just had to, like, be optimistic for me and make sure that no one could ruin my day or whatever. But it was still like, you would interact and you would fake being happy, fake being nice, but then you feel such energy being drawn out of you. And I was sober, California sober. So I had cut alcohol from my life. And just to share something with you is because a reason why I cut alcohol from my life was because, you know, I have a brother who's struggling with alcoholism, and that's his big addiction right now. And I just wanted to be, as an older brother to him, a bigger inspiration, and I wanted to be, I'm trying to find the words. I just wanted to be like a good role model. Like something that always resonates with me is like you are who you're the person that you surround yourself with, and I didn't want to, like drink on my day off or whatever, and then suddenly, or like drink when I'm tired from coming home from work, or have a drink. I can't wait to go home and have a little drink. I didn't want to be that. I want to like hone in and inspire my brother to also partake in the drinking when I know he has a problem with addiction. So I cut that out just to be a better role model, but it ended up serving me better. Like I love the outcome. I love having that mental clarity. I just love also how my spiritual and energetic frequency started to rise. However, I was still unhappy at work. I don't know why. I was like, oh my God, get me out of here. But I couldn't find another job, which is, it's okay. Like, so it was like, a few weeks before Thanksgiving, and I was feeling really low, and I was asking for God for some guidance. I was like, hey, like, show me a sign. Like, help me out. Like, I don't know what to do. Like, I'm here, like, I'm crying out for help. And I go to lunch, and I come back from lunch, and everyone's helping out, a customer, and I don't want to overstep on somebody else's customer. Like, we are in commission base here, so I'm trying to see, okay, she's helping this person, they're helping that person. So there's this person who is trying to get a watch sized, and I am just standing there, but I'm like being hospitable, so I'm just interacting with this individual while she's waiting to get her watch size. So this individual then tells me, like, she asked me a question about a watch, and I can't recall the question anymore because it happened so long ago, but she asked me this question, and I said to her, I answered, and she, for some reason, was like, oh, like, I'm so stupid. Why did I say that? Or whatever. And then I stop her right there, and I'm like, hey, do never call yourself stupid. Don't do that. Just change the word around and just say silly me, because you just didn't know. You didn't know the answer, and that's fine. Not knowing is fine. So never call yourself anything derogatory. Always, just change it around. So say, oh, silly me, like I didn't know that, and that's fine, but never call yourself stupid. So then she gets really like emotional, and well, not emotional, but you could just tell she was about to cry. And I was just telling her, like, no, she was telling me like her story about how she had gone through this, like, chemo that day, and she was feeling really down, and she, like, whatever I said to her just changed her whole mood around, changed her whole, like, state of mind around. And that's, like, I never knew that, like, little things like that do make a big impact on people. These little conversations sometimes impact people in a better way. And she says, like, you're giving me hope, all these, like, things that I never knew that I was doing to someone. She was telling me that, like, she needed to hear those things, and she was so grateful, so thankful, and somehow, like, our paths connected. And then she was telling me that, she really liked my whole, like, and inspirational, like, and aspiring energy that I had. She was like, giving me my flowers about, like, these little few words I shared with her about, like, how she should, be kinder to herself. And before she left, because her watch was already sized, and she tried it on and everything was perfect, and then she was wishing me a happy holidays, and then before we parted ways, she asked me, hey, like, what's the name of your podcast? I want to listen to it. And I was like, oh, I don't have a podcast, but I'm here, I work here, I'm here, like, I'm one of the supervisors, I'm here full time. Gave her my business card, and you know after she left, I got chills, like goosebumps coming through my head, and like everywhere, 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 like the whole like body caliber. And I was just like, oh my god, is this? It just like clicked to me, like an instinct. It was like boom, boom, boom. Like, I remember coming back from lunch asking God for a little sign, and then that thought came to my brain, and then I got a flush of energy, not a flush of energy, a flush of memories just came through my head, like immediately after. So I was just like, oh my god, is this the sign that she was asking me for? Like, like a sign of what to do with my life, or what say you? And I believe it was actually. So I got flooded with memories of every single time someone had told me to make a podcast or make a YouTube channel and just get out there. They're like, you're so charismatic, you are so funny. Why aren't you not out there doing something in the media or entertainment industry? And I was just like, filling my head with limiting beliefs that I was like, oh, I'm not good enough, or excuses. At the end of the day, they're excuses. I don't know why I was lying to myself and giving myself excuses that I couldn't do these things. So I was like, why did I do that? I don't know why I did that. Oh my god. So I remember at my old location, throughout the years, people had asked me to make some content, to make a podcast. Then cut to me getting transferred over to my store where I work at in LA. And one of my coworkers, shout out to you, Melanie, I love you. She's actually told me to make a podcast, and she was telling me like, I think you would thrive in this. I think you would just do amazing. And she was just filling my head with hope, and I don't know why I didn't listen. Then cut to another person that she really pushed me to do this. Her name is Elizabeth. Love you too. Shout out to you as well. But she was a really like love for Scorpio energy. She was just telling me to really go forward with it and do it. And they both talked, and they even like were like talking about me one day, and they were like, how come he doesn't do it? He should do it. And I, here I basically am. But I remember thinking, why did I ignore all the signs? Were the signs there all along? So I kept on having these vivid dreams. So cut to the beginning of the year. It was January. No, lying. It was February. And it was February now. And I was having a very vivid lucid dream. It was nighttime. I was in bed. I was not like taking a day nap. So in this dream, God came and he spoke to me, and he actually asked me to be sober. What I mean by that is that I wasn't fully sober. I was still smoking weed. I was still partaking in extracurricular activities with marijuana, and I needed to cut that out of my life. He told me that I am finally healed, and I didn't need that anymore. He literally told me that. He said, like, you don't need this anymore. You need to cut that out. And I really, really, really believe that. He then brought to me a little Osiris the child. He brought him to me, and Osiris held my hand, the little baby me, and he showed me, which is this, I'm not gonna give you the details now, but he showed me the possibilities of what my life could be, all these beautiful things that could be my life, or should be my life, or will be my life. I'm manifesting that it would be. And literally before the dream wrapped up, God said to me, you're already healed. You no longer need this anymore. You need to stop putting this in your body. He said, stop smoking weed. But he said like, he said, you need to cut this out. You're blocking your blessings. And I woke up and I still had stuff with me. I had edibles. I had like Stacey pens, and I think I had a free pre-roll, and I was excited to do all this. And I woke up the next day, threw it all away. Weed was the one thing in my life that I couldn't cut out. I knew that it was the thing that I was holding on to because it was making me more socially, oh my God, I was just becoming more social. I was becoming more like attuned and being more out there. I was definitely becoming used to, so I could interact with others, bring out this happy self. I used to just drown myself in Blue Dream. Blue Dream was my go-to, and woke out the next day and threw it all away. Like that was at least like $200 worth of weed that I had, because I had edibles and I had 2 pens, and they were the ones that come with 2 grams. Anyways, I used to give myself a little not celibate, but like little breaks so I could, come back and it will hit me back stronger. One of those little breaks, I keep forgetting what they're called. I was calling it celibate breaks, but I don't know what they're called. I'm so far removed from it, but now, okay, so this happened in February before my birthday, and my birthday's in March. So afterwards, I haven't done it. And that was the one thing I couldn't shake off for years, always smoking weed. So now I don't even smoke cigarettes. I don't do any other vaping. There is no alcohol anymore. Nothing. Not even like a White Claw. Not even a non-alcoholic beer. Because first of all, if you know me, you know I don't like beer. I only drank champagne if it had carbonation. And I actually recall one of my friends. She was so stressed out that she got she got some beer, some non-alcoholic beer, and she went to Whole Foods and they ID'd her. And I asked her, like, if it's non-alcoholic, why are you IDing her? And the clerk said to her, she was like, well, there's no alcohol, but there's still a trace of alcohol, and we have to always ID any woman, because in case she is pregnant, we want to just put it on record that she is over the age or whatever. But I was like, but this is non-alcoholic. And they're like, she said, well, there's still a trace of alcohol. It's still it's under a 1%, but there's still alcohol in this non-alcoholic. So that was not enough for me to be like, cannot even do that either. However, I did discover botanicals. My same friend who is sober as well and does a lot of Kundalini yoga. She also she's the one with the art with the gallery. She has non-alcoholic friends or people who also don't partake in those spirits, and botanicals literally taste a little bit like mezcal, because they're like smoky, like essence of what say you, and it tastes delicious actually, because you make yourself a little cocktail and you could fool yourself that you're having things, but this has ashwagandha and it has essence of other things that just tend to relax you a little bit. So you could find yourself substitutions. Because of that, I think I developed the sweet tooth, or reawoken it, because I already had it. But I am trying to substitute that sweet tooth with something else. Now I am addicted to beets. I literally love a beet salad. If you ever have a salad from Organico, I love the little side dish that they have, which is like beets with ginger juice, and I don't know what else, and little green little stuff like celery, I believe, or not celery, cilantro maybe, I don't know. And it's ginger based, lemon, olive oil little thing, and it's cube little beets, and I just could that is my go-to sweet now. I'm trying to cut away all the cravings. like the sweet tooth, because I'm like, one addiction always covers another one. So like, I believe my other addiction is gonna be shopping. I don't know, but needless to say, back to the topic at hand. In this dream, God asked me to become sober, and I obeyed. So I remember that I wanted to make this podcast, and I was, the more and more I try to, sorry for the traffic noise, but I'm like really close to a window. So the more and more I try to get away from making this content, I remember I started having failure at work. I was like, oh my God, I am such a top seller. I'm a natural seller. Why can I not make any sales? And it's because I already knew in my head, I was like, I am like steering away from my purpose, from what God asked me to do. And who am I to disobey? Why would I disobey God? He literally asked me to do this. I asked for a sign and I'm ignoring it. And, I'm obviously obeying him when it came to like becoming sober. And I am happier that way. So I encourage everyone to do that if you could. Like you don't want to not have full control of your life and your brain. And another thing that made me really, really become sober, besides me having really strong will, like once I say something, there's no going back. And which is why I threw it away and never again. Haven't touched it, and I don't even think I want it. But one thing that I remember of why, or what makes me want to do it, is that, which is basically going to be this whole, the journey, or it's going to be the whole umbrella, if you say, of my show, of my channel, the content I'm putting out there, which is, I'm gonna coin this somehow or whatever, but this is like, I believe that your path in life should be the journey towards your childlike soul. And that is what all the nuggets of information I'm going to give you. It's going to go back into, or try to go back into, rooted, and it's all going to be rooted into your childlike essence, that childlike soul, that childlike energy that likes to play. So what does that have to do with being sober? Is when you're a child, you're a minor, do you give them alcohol? If you're a parent, you have an underage kid, do you want them to smoke weed? Do you want them to get drunk? You do not. Why would you do that to a child? Then cut to, why would you do that to yourself? Why would you put that in your body? Like, you don't have to do that. And I don't. So that encourages me to not do it anymore, or ever go back to it. So I love that about myself. So I just want to say that if you have thoughts about getting sober, I'm probably not the one to talk to about this, but just start to remember about hey, the child in me wouldn't wanna do this. And I remember when I was a little kid and I was bad myself, and I got a little taste of alcohol here and there, or things of extracurricular activities, I remember that I didn't like the experience. So all of these things go back into my memory. I'm just like, I don't have to do this. I don't have to do this. I'm better than this. So, Okay, so back to my dreams and everything that I was sharing about all of it, is that I went into what I like to call hermit mode, or most people do, or I went to my shadow self. I did the shadow work. I really did a lot of healing, a lot of spiritual, and a lot of maturing, a lot of healing that inner child. And I call it going through metamorphosis, because I went into my childlike self and I tried to really heal from within. And I remember that in my dream that I had, where God was talking to me. He said that I have to go towards my innocence. He said he said to me that I have to become innocent again. And when I woke up, I just remember I was crying, and I was just like, I lost the essence of who I used to be. Like, I used to be like more playful and more childish, and and not in an immature way, but it could be. But I remember that I was like, hey, a little bit more happier when I used to just be more like a child. And I remember one day, I'm gonna share another dream that I wasn't even planning on sharing with you, where God talked to me again. And God, like, I remember I was like, really, I was struggling to get out of my little writing block space that I've had. And he told me to, to wake up and go to the park, go to nature. He says you have to become that child again. Be able to play, be able to be happy, and go to nature. That's where you'll find me. So I always try to, if I can, which is why I always encourage everyone to have a dog, get a dog, walk them to the park, because that's gonna it's gonna bring you to nature. It's gonna bring you closer to God. So I remember that I went to the park, and I just got all these ideas. I started writing them down about topics that I'm gonna talk to you about, but for that will be in upcoming episodes. And now, this is how my show is going to work. So, that I love fashion and I love movies. So, for so long, I did not want to make anything regarding fashion, because I remember that everyone and a lot of people put me in a box, a little fashion box, and I hated that. I was like, I'm so much more than this. I'm more than fashion. I'm better than this. And I just like thought to myself, like, I could do something different. I wanted to do something different. So what I started to do was fill myself with these like stupid beliefs of like, that I couldn't do it. And I was like, but I think that I could. So I remember I was helping out a lady, a customer, and she gave me her business card. One of my friends told me I got recruited, but I was like, I don't think that's recruitment, but who knows. She liked my experience I gave her. Well, the experience she got from me helping her in the fitting room. She did not buy anything, which is okay. I never get caught up in my head about people not buying anything, because one thing that I feel like helps me as a seller in retail, or something, whoever is selling, which is why, it's helping me also, like, strip away that ego I had, is that this could help you too. You could only control yourself. You cannot control others. So I'm not gonna control you and tell you, which I could if I wanted to. Like, I could not. But I wish I had that Wendy Williams hypnotized thing that she had, where I could hypnotize everyone and be like, ooh, you will subscribe and like and buy whatever I'm selling. But life doesn't work out that way. So I know that it won't. So what am I going to do? I'm just going to I'm going to keep it going. I'm going to just say like, oh, well, I'm going to just remember that I cannot control anybody. So what helps me get better is that, like, who am I to tell you how to spend your money? I'm not. I could convince you, maybe. I could maybe persuade you. I could romanticize anything to like try to like persuade you to make a purchase, but I am not going to ultimately make that decision for you. You have to make it for yourself. So that is what makes me, I feel like, a better seller, is that all of my sales that I make are genuine. I make a connection with someone, whether, and it's right there. You know, I suck at clienteling, so I suck at keeping touch, but I know that the connections and the sales I make on the floor are genuine and are real. And most people keep everything they buy from me, and I love that. But my little mantra is that, like, I cannot control how you spend your money, which is why I cannot control if you are going to continue to watch my content, which I hope that you do, but I'm not gonna make you do it. Like, I cannot control you, I cannot force you to do it. So she obviously didn't buy these dresses, she didn't make these purchases, but she gave me some amazing life advice. And she I need to learn how to swallow my saliva better. It's going down the urethra, I guess, in the throat, whatever. So she was like telling me, like, I make brands and I make businesses out of people, and I think that your brand should be, she said, it should be mental health and fashion. And I was like, oh, okay. But I kind of like it, she said it and I kind of didn't really relate, but I get it. And I was like, but what do you mean? Or what do I say? Or how do I start? And she's like, well, I remember I was like helping her out and I was like ranting. I was literally ranting about like some people being so mean and having no manners, right? And I was like, oh my God. She said, talk about that. Talk about people having no manners. Just wake up in the morning and just go on a rant. And I was like, what? Like, am I going to be HRH and just go on rants? Like, I cannot do that, you know? Like, but like, I don't know. But that was me getting in my head and the limiting beliefs. Like, I'd have to do any of that. I also like was like super critical. I'm like, I hate my voice. I sound so gay. I sound so feminine. I sound so whatever. Like, I'm Helen Keller. I don't want to hear my voice. But I realized that I sound the way I do because I didn't finish puberty, I guess. Or I mean, I kind of did, but not really. Like, I don't have an Adam's apple burly there. So hence the deepness or lack thereof of my voice. So like, I'm just not being hard on myself anymore. Stripping that ego away is the way to go. So without further ado, one of the things I'm going to talk about in this channel would be a little subreddit or a little sub thing, and it's going to be called retail therapy, where we're just going to talk about fashion, we're going to feel good about ourselves, and we're going to just analyze, you know, clothing and fashion in a way that is suitable for us. So, what else? Oh yes. I also want to talk about, like, I want to analyze things like movies, mainly movies. I want to analyze movies, and I want to also maybe analyze, you know, a book here and there. But I'd rather have a book club where we just read a book here and there together, or I read a book to you. But my analyzation of movies is going to be under another subreddit playlist on the same channel, on the same show, and it's going to be called Chamber of Reflection, where we're going to analyze a movie and we're going to just take away the life lessons of how we can apply them and become better humans. So ultimately, the purpose of my show, I know this is such a long spiel, but the purpose of my show is going to be human kindness and the journey towards a childlike soul. You know, through laughter, through, you know, inspiring you guys to have life in color, live in color, and also, you know, the power to be able to dream again. So I want to end each episode. Hold on. I lost the page. Whatever. I'm going to find it again. So each episode, I'm going to end with a poem. And I'm going to read to you the poem. Ooh, I found it. Okay, I'm going to read to you a poem. And it's going to just correlate a little bit with the topic at hand. So, am I going to analyze the poem? Probably. I probably will. Okay, so I got two poems by Mary Oliver that really narrate this whole spill of my journey in my life that I've been going through, and that inspired the first episode of my show, which is an introduction to myself. So I hope we're no longer strangers. And I got really intimate. I really don't do this with a lot of people, and I really shared my dreams with you, and sharing the dreams is just extremely vulnerable, and people just don't do that because it's of the superstition of they might not come true, but I think they will. And I think that you guys will continue to champion the good energy to make them come true. And I didn't share the details, but I gave you a spell of how the essence of God spoke to me, and he literally told me what to do, and here I am listening and not disobeying him. Like I am championing him. And this is not a religious channel, because I do believe in God, and I believe in a lot of things, but I believe that you should believe in yourself first, because aren't we all just an essence of him? Anyways, I'm recording this on Sunday, so the day of the Lord. So, and it's towards the end of the day. So this poem is by Mary Oliver. Both of them are. This one is called Wild Geese. Let me see if there's a 2-pager. It's a 1-pager. So I'm going to read it. We're going to analyze it. And I'm going to give you my perspective. Okay. Wild geese. You do not have to be good. You do not have to walk on your knees for 100 miles through the desert repenting. You only have to let the soft animal of your body love what it loves. Tell me about your despair, yours, and I'll tell you mine. Meanwhile, the world goes on. Meanwhile, the sun and the clear pebbles of the rain are moving across the landscapes, over the prairies and the deep trees, the mountains and the rivers. Meanwhile, the wild geese, high in the clean blue air, are heading home again. Whoever you are, no matter how lonely, the world offers itself to your imagination, calls to you like the wild geese, harsh and exciting, over and over, announcing your place in the family of things. You feel better now? This poem is just beautiful. So I am kind of delirious because I woke up in the morning and all I had was ceremonial matcha from Magic Hour. Shout out to Magic Hour. I love Magic Hour. I am like obsessed with this matcha. I got the whole kit with the matcha bowl and the little whisk and the bamboo spoon and the matcha 1111. And the reason why I got it is because it has like organic L-theanine. I hope I'm saying that right. And this is that ingredient that is supposed to make you feel like limitless or like Lucy, and just tap into that, to your brain waves and focus, and give you that essence of like dopamines and euphoric, essence, just to like make you focus, uplift you, and give you energy. And I got it because I love 1111. 1111 is like a magic number for me. Angel numbers follow me everywhere. I see them almost every day. And it started with 1111. So this is like a really pure matcha. And it's pricey, but it's worth it. It's so smooth. I just had that in the morning and I hadn't had anything else. And I just brought extra in a thermo. So I've been sipping it as I go because I need to focus. And it's, there's this gum that they sell. I keep forgetting the name of the brand, but if I remember, I remember. But it's that brand where they were showing it on Shark Tank, and they're sold out of the cinnamon flavor that I love. but I want to chew that gum. But I didn't buy it because it was like $40. I was like, oh my God. It's a little pricey, so I'm gonna just wait on the next paycheck to buy some and probably put myself in the back order because I'm not gonna get it till like a month later. But this gum's supposed to make you focus, and I probably have HGTV. I could not focus. I do need Adderall or need like a Vyvanse, but I do not want to go down that route. So L-theanine is something that I would think that I could use to focus. So the whole reason why I pressed action on doing all of this was literally because I drank that matcha. Can you believe? So that's all I've had today. I woke up at, late, like 9 or 10. And I had the matcha, started coming here, playing around with all my equipment, everything that I got, to get this, because it took me a while to make this content because I was getting my ducks in order. Now that I got all my ducks, I'm like, well, there's no more excuses. I just gotta go on it and just do it. And I was like, okay, got this matcha from Magic Hour, and it literally encouraged me to do this. I could not believe the amount of energy I have, but now I'm realizing that I haven't eaten anything. So if you hear my stomach grumbling to the mic, then oh my God, I'm sorry, I haven't eaten anything. I'm human. But back to wild geese. Woo. Oh my God, shout out to Magic Hour. Matcha 1111 is just divine. Oh my God, I'm gonna make another purchase because it's just too good. Okay, so also I needed to give that spiel so I wouldn't get emotional talking about this because this poem gets to me. So this is what Allie had to say. Allie is the human person that compiled the all the poems for this season. So this is for a season ahead. This is for autumn. And I do have the summer one right here because I like reading poetry. I have Lana's book of poems, which I love, Lana Del Rey, and love Mary Oliver. So Mary Oliver is a Pulitzer Prize winning poet. She uses the imagery of a wild geese flying home as a metaphor for the way in which the world impacts us. Sounds and sights are like birds flying home to us. So what I like about this poem is it's talking about a metaphor about flying home, but home to me is who we are. We are home. Home is what the heart is. And going through my whole process of finding my inner child and loving myself again is what made me go love this even more. So this is a line that stuck with me that really helped me heal. So I'm gonna just talk about some lines. The very beginning is the perfect hook to the poem. You do not have to be good. You do not have to walk on your knees and repent, right? Then we move forward towards the end of the poem where it says, whoever you are, no matter how lonely, the world offers itself to your imagination. And that line right there, love it. Because it speaks to me, to my soul, because it's telling me that, if you're lonely, it's okay. It's just momentarily. You got yourself. And in addition, lonely to what extent? Lonely for what purpose? It's fine to be lonely. It's okay. And I just love how it's giving me hope to create this and just get more artistic because the world offers yourself to your imagination. Why wouldn't you just be tapped into that essence of imagination? I love that line. So, I just want to create more artistic things. I'm tapping into the artistic frequency that I used to have. And, people say the world is your oyster. So, it really, really is. So this poem to me speaks to me because I was in such a blockage with limiting beliefs, and I was not pressing go on things, and I was just like, why am I doing this to myself? And I just love how this is telling me, like, you don't have to be perfect. Like, why are you giving yourself these high expectations? Like, repent. You don't have to walk in your knees. Repent for what? Use your imagination. So I feel that if I didn't create this and didn't make this channel, make my show, I would be one disobeying God because He told me to do so. I asked Him for a sign. And then also, I believe that I would be a disservice to everyone by not doing this because I am in a way disobeying Him. And I am kind of like shielding myself from being shared to the world. And I feel like yeah, you should get to know me. Okay, so this is my other poem that I don't have the book in which this comes from because I need to buy that Mary Oliver book, but this is another Mary Oliver book which correlates with the topic at hand. This is called The Journey by Mary Oliver. One day, you finally knew what you had to do and began. Though the voices around you kept shouting their bad advice, though the whole house began to tremble, and you felt the old tug at your ankles, mend my life. Each voice cried, but you didn't stop. You knew what you had to do. Though the wind pried with its stiffness and the very foundations, though their melancholy was terrible, it was already late enough, and a wild night, and the roads full of fallen branches and stones. But little by little, as you left their voices behind, the stars began to burn through the sheets of clouds, and there was a new voice, which you slowly recognized as your own, that kept you company as you strode deeper and deeper into the world, determined to do the only thing you could do, determined to save the only life you could save. Oh my God, I just love that poem. That poem really narrates everything I just talked about. And I have to look at it again just to reference a couple of lines. The lines about bad advice. I remember talking to a lot of people about my hopes and dreams of getting my podcast going, and they were just filling me with empty noise that I shouldn't have even asked to begin with. Asked for advice. I didn't have to do any of that. And this poem talks about there's a big metaphor, you being a house. How a house breaks and is shaking at the core, the foundation, how things shake you to the very bone. And then when it says that it was already late, but little by little, you left those voices behind. I just love that, that line right there. And then it just talks about how the stars began to burn. Because I myself always look up at the sky when I walk my dog at night before I go to bed, and he goes to bed and make sure he pees. And I just know the stars, for some reason I feel like the stars are shining just for me. It's freaking weird that I believe that. But and then it says you slowly recognize that voice as your own, that kept you company. And then at the very end, it says, the only thing you could do, determined to save the only life you could save. I immediately think about that song with Kali Uchis and Tyler the Creator, about how, she's like, Laurel, come on. Something song. I'm not gonna sing it because I don't want to get copywritten because I don't even know how this works yet. But Kali Uchis is saying that no one's gonna come save you. You have to be your own hero. You have to wear your own cape. And I just want to encourage you guys all to do so. Like, you guys, be your own hero. Save yourself. I believe you could do it. So I hope that you guys come with me on this journey and you guys enjoy it, and we're gonna do it together. I'm throwing myself blindly at this, and it's gonna be great. It's gonna be successful. I'm gonna win. We're gonna do it together. You're gonna see this blossom and grow. So all love from here. So I hope this wasn't long enough. If it is long, I might break it up into 2 parts. But I just love you guys, and don't even know who you guys are, but I just love. I'm getting so giddy, so excited about everything that's like I just like my imagination's taking me there. So I hope you guys love the poems. I feel like they really narrate what I just spoke about. So shout out to Mary Oliver for really, really talking about life and being optimistic. And it's a little bittersweet, but there is always light at the end of the tunnel, and you have to listen to your inner gut. So in the meanwhile, be kind to others, but most importantly, be kind to yourself. Okay? Love you. Till next time. Ciao.